Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass the Move. And for today's episode, as promised, we have the match against Manchester United in this lively Liverpool series, and hopefully we can provide a lively game for you. So, since the last episode, a number of things have obviously happened. We're in the month of December, and Manchester United is a fixture of December, which we're trying to show. But I'm sure you've noticed already that Chelsea are top of the table with an incredible 45 points. Played 15 games, won all 15. Been absolutely merciless, and despite our good form, we still cannot catch up to them just because of how good they've been. So they're still 13 points away, but I think we're pretty much solidified our Champions League spots. We can afford to lose a game and then still remain in Champions League. Again, that's all the board expects. We were hoping for better this season, but unfortunately for us, Chelsea just too good. It's interesting to see that Manchester City are still struggling despite selling to them both Coutinho and Firmino, and definitely both those players are going to be, unhappy, I suppose, because of what's going on. I mean, it's funny that we've given them both those players and they've still struggled, and they have both of them in the starting 11 at the moment. And both done decently actually for Manchester City. I'm not sure why they're doing. A lot of their players have decent average ratings, so it's a bit weird that they're not doing too well. Gabriel Jesus has been unregistered for Manchester City. I mean, that's incredible. Hasn't played anything other than 2 substitute appearances in Champions League and 1 appearance in the Premier League. Wow, what a waste of talent, I suppose. But anyways, that's a different story entirely. A couple of things to update you on, but we can give you a quick update on the Premier League table. So it's Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham and West Brom still in the Champions League spots. Manchester United not too far behind. We do face them today. They're going to be trying to squeeze into the Champions League spots, of course. If we beat them, then that means we're safer. And of course, we'll be beating one of our top rivals, as well as hopefully closing the gap on Chelsea, who play an interesting game today that we can discuss. Bournemouth, though, quite close in the Europa League spots. Manchester City as well. Arsenal not too far behind. But you can definitely say those two are underperforming. Newly promoted Leeds are in the relegation zone as expected, but Huddersfield and Southampton are also struggling, with Reading, one of the promoting teams, as well as Middlesbrough, having a decent season so far. So, in terms of what happened since the last episode, we showed you that match against, let's have a look here, I think it was West Brom, yeah, that was back in November, beginning of November as well, and today's episode, it's been quite some time because it's the end of December. So after that, we managed to beat Juventus 5-0. Very convincing result and a very pleasing result. Pablo Fornals with a hat-trick and his striker, not really a partner, but the way Pablo plays as a shadow striker kind of makes him a partner. So Lacazette got a brace, Juventus unable to reply, and we performed beyond expectations at home. But after that, obviously, we managed to lose against Bournemouth, typical Liverpool, very inconsistent, and it's worrying how we can beat some top teams and just lose to some other smaller teams. It's made me consider some tactical tweaks that I'll discuss, but it's more of a longer-term vision for the club. But anyways, we managed to get Kent and Origi on the score sheet, players who are not supposed to be first-teamers, but they did well there, I suppose. Marcel Spelitzer scoring, Gomez's own goal, I guess it was quite costly in the end, and Jordan Ibe also tying things up for his team. Against Huddersfield, though, we managed to bounce back 2-0. Chan and Mane both on the score sheet, so that's good to see. Not the best of wins, but a decent one at home nonetheless. And again, 3 points is very important after losing. But after that, of course, we lost again. So Sevilla, Chan getting sent off in the 78th minute didn't really have a huge impact on the game other than us trying to win it in the last few moments. But Nolito and Pablo Sarabia scoring in either half to put our position in the Champions League group at a risk. But against Crystal Palace, we managed to open up a bit of a winning run here. A nice one. Crystal Palace we beat with Chamberlain and Lacazette on the score sheet. Away from home, so it's a decent result. Sparta Prague, Lacazette and Chamberlain again on the score sheet and giving us a convincing win in the second half, scoring within a minute of either of each other to help us really solidify our group and qualify for the Champions knockout stages. So we finished top of our group. I'm not sure why I'm not allowed to select that anymore, but yeah, apparently that hasn't helped us in the knockout rounds because we've drawn Bayern Munich, and that's as tough as it gets. FA Cup, we've also drawn Blackburn, and in the Carabao Cup we're waiting for Manchester City and Stoke to play each other so we can see our opponents. But Tottenham and Middlesbrough are going to be playing as well, and you'd expect, well, if everything goes well for us, you'd expect a Liverpool and Tottenham final, and hopefully we can hold on to that trophy. Well, as small as it is, it's still a nice trophy to hold on to. But yeah, back to the schedule, we also managed to beat Newcastle 1-0, just scraped by them with our central defender scoring. That kind of sums up the game really. Newcastle very defensive, very stubborn, and it took a central defender to score for us, and thankfully they didn't reply, and that way we could go on and secure the result. Reading though, away from home, Charlton and Kent were the ones who were on the score sheet. Kent having an incredible season. I was worried about promoting a youngster so soon after losing we've basically sold Coutinho and replaced him with Kent, if you can consider it that. I mean, obviously the first team on that side is actually Mane, but Kent is the one who actually replaces Coutinho, and he's actually done very well. He's a good player for most Premier League sides, and he has a bit more potential to go. And he can definitely be a leading player, if not a star player for the division. An English talent as well, so it's nice to have him on our side. Peter assumes that he'll be a leading player without a doubt. Our assistant manager, who's fairly new to the club, obviously still adjusting to things. I think it's Wolfgang Rolf. He also thinks that he has a hint more potential to go and hopefully become a leading player for us, because this season he's been outstanding. 21 appearances, 7 goals, 7 assists, and 2 player of the matches, 7.17 average rating overall in all matches. Mane's injuries has an impact on his performances, of course, because he's been playing a lot more often than you would expect him to be. Anyways, against Cardiff away from home in the Carabao Cup quarter-final, we managed to beat them 3-0 as convincing as ever. Wallace, Kent and Lacazette all on the score sheet, and Sol Bamba against an off-first side in the 74th minute to just help us really tie the game up. So we'll be playing Manchester United today, and as tough a game as it is, the only way I can see us catching up to Chelsea is if we destroy them ourselves here in January fixture, 16th of January. But of course, before then we do play Manchester United, Tottenham and Arsenal, so we will have to keep performing against them, unless we let if we're not careful, we can let the Premier League title really run away from us. That's if it hasn't already, because Chelsea, perfect season so far, no draws. But hopefully by the time we meet up to them there, they'll drop some points. In terms of the fixture that they actually play today, they play Arsenal, so that's very interesting. They'll be hoping for the Europa League spots and aiming to try and close the gap to the Champions League spots as well. So definitely be fighting for their lives. But the question is, can they get a result out of a very, very difficult Chelsea team? In terms of the overall things here, you can see some nice little stats here. Timo Horn, for example, second in place in terms of clean sheets. Assists, Mo Salah is very close in third place, tied with Raheem Sterling. The not so good news is the average ratings and goals were nowhere near in the top 3 apparently, and a lot of that has to do, of course, with the way Chelsea have been playing this season. But yeah, I think we had a decent season so far. We're a bit inconsistent, but I don't think we've had anything too horrible. But we will take some doing to catch up to this perfect Chelsea team. So let's hope we can do that today. We can talk more about it after we just want to get things going eventually. But just to give you some idea, Loris Karius was sold. We're trying to sell him actually, really, because he's asked to move on. Mane is still unhappy and trying to sell him as well, but no one necessarily going in for him. We actually made a promise to Emre Can to sell him to Bayern. He was asking for Champions League, to win the Champions League, and obviously I couldn't admit to winning that this season, and possibly not even next season in truth. But I said, let me try and promise him for next season. He wasn't having it, so I said, you know what, I'll just move him on. It's not worth the trouble. He is a leading player for most Premier League sides though, so it's a bit disappointing to lose him. I guess he finally fulfilled his potential and he has a hint more. But as a backup player, he's very unfortunate to be missing out on the first team, considering how Henderson is our first choice player there. Having said that, he is starting today's match, and these are the players we're going with. We can talk more about that in just a moment. But yeah, no real injuries. Everyone we select is based on form and of course on fitness. But yeah, in terms of our ins, because Karius was asking to leave, I already bought in a goalkeeper, and that's Alban Lafont, a youngster with potential, the perfect kind of candidate that we want for a backup. He's resilient, he's got great attributes as a sweeper keeper. Not his most comfortable role, but he is okay with it, and not susceptible to injuries. He's a consistent performer, already a Premier League player, and he has got a ton of potential to hopefully become a leading one and really challenge Timo Horn for that first team spot. But I think we can finally just kick off a very tough game against Manchester United. I think in terms of the next episode, we definitely want to show you that Chelsea game, because it's going to be so crucial to the title itself. But yeah, there will be, we might want to show you one of the other games, either the Arsenal Tottenham one, depends on which one's more important. Maybe not even either one of them, to be fair. Might not do a double header, really It depends on how the table looks by the time we reach there. But anyways, we're at home, so I think we're favourites. It looks like we're not too big of favourites. But I'll just allow my players to pick up where they left off last time, which I believe was the win against... was it Reading, or did we beat Cardiff? I think it was Cardiff last 3-0, and you can't ask for anything more than that in truth. But yeah, in terms of tactical tweak, I forgot to mention, this is what we're going to try and build towards eventually. I feel like instead of just consistently having our DLP man mark, not man mark, I guess position mark, the area here, the attacking midfield area, it makes a lot more sense to just have a symmetric formation and just have an anchor man. Doesn't suit the rest of our tactic in the sense that he shoots and dribbles less and fewer risky passes. We're looking for players, not really shooting is not a huge problem, but we are looking for players who dribble and risk more often than not. But I suppose he'd be the only player in this formation who actually does that. The other tactical tweak is to have actually a trequartista instead of a complete forward. He'll be on attack, he'll get into any possible space that's free. And I don't have to worry too much about his defending because the rest of the team should pick up his slack, and particularly the anchor man should help as well. And anyways, you don't expect too much defending from your strikers, so it's not too damaging to have a trequartista there. We've also gone with the attacking midfielder instead. The shadow striker is a bit of a specialist role, and it's kind of tough to find players who are suitable for that role. So it makes more sense to move to attacking midfielder spot instead, and just put the instruction, move into channels. We're still going with an inside forward, but we want to offer a bit of an alternative and play with an advanced playmaker on the right instead. That way it's not both two inside forwards, and we still have a bit of a playmaker in the squad since we don't have anyone else really. The ball playing defender does that a bit, but it's too deep. We want someone in the front four. Advanced playmaker, very capable of that, and helps with our pass and move type of football. Got box-to-box midfielder, so we can finally have someone who actually roams. None of our two central midfielders at the moment, they're not necessarily roles that suit our tactic too much. They're okay, they're balanced roles, but they don't suit the tactic overall too well. We'll just have a box-to-box midfielder and give him kind of small little tactical instructions that make him more like a ball-winning midfielder, such as a tackle harder and mark tighter, so we're not just absolutely leaving that place free. Box-to-box midfielder roams, which helps our tactic. We want roaming players. We've got that in the complete wing backs as well. Still going with a sweeper keeper, but instead of on attack, we'll play on support, so it's a bit less riskier. Still looking for risky passes, so it's fine. It's just that we're not going to ask him to dribble a lot. Ball playing defender on stopping duty, and central defender on the cover. And I think that'll give us a bit more balance in our side, and I think we should do well with this formation. But of course, we've still got inside forwards, so we can't play the advanced playmaker yet. Trequartista, like Lacazette, is very comfortable with. I think we'll be able to make that switch very easily. Same with the attacking midfielder. Our main issue is in midfield, where I think Keita and possibly Jorginho will be okay with the box-to-box midfielder role. Not the best role, but the anchorman one is definitely something to build towards. So Chan, I think if we do sell him off, we'll bring in a youngster of potential who can play that anchorman role, and slowly just move to this more stable, more solid formation. We'll be playing on control still, but instead of a team shape of fluid, we want to try and stop the amount of goals we concede and go into a structured team shape instead. And team instructions, we want to keep it as simple as possible with shorter passing and offside trap, and that's pretty much it. And hopefully that will help us in the long term. But anyways, today is all about, so I think we can go ahead and finally kick off. I think we just want to set replays on, put goals on, and let's see whether we can beat our famous rivals at home. We're not in this poor condition of rain. But yeah, Manchester United matching us up in the 4-2-3-1 formation. Looks like Lukaku's injured, so hopefully we can make the most of that. Doesn't seem to be too serious of an injury, maybe we can give him more of a knock, so it's more of a serious injury. In terms of our own side, Horn has been ever present as always. Klein, one back his side from Trent, one back his place in the side from Trent. Robertson playing as outstanding as ever. Alex Telles has hardly had a sniff in this side because of how consistent Robertson has been, and Alex must be wondering what on earth, how on earth is he going to win his side back, his place in the side back. Anyways, Lacazette gets us going, and Klein has an opportunity to deliver in the box. He does so with Chamberlain. Back post for Kent. A bit difficult, Lallana, and it's finally in. But it's good to see us get into the score sheet within 20 minutes, and maybe we can do some serious damage to the Manchester United side, who've only maintained 34% possession. Of course, very early on, still, it's nice to see. Lacazette doing that complete forward role well. He doesn't try and take his man on. He's playing on support, so he just tries to find someone else who can deliver the ball. Klein delivers to Chamberlain, who heads on to Kent in the back post. He should do a bit better and try and finish himself, but I guess he does do the smarter thing, which is head it down to Lallana, who as a shadow striker should be the main threat in our side. But yeah, Gomez and Wallace are the players in the central defence. They've doing incredibly well, no real reason to change them. Barter and Matip not necessarily too happy about the least amount of game time they're getting, but they understand that of course if players ahead of them are performing well, then there's no need. Pogba tries some distance, but Horn is there to hit it over, I suppose, but we're still doing well in terms of possession, but in terms of shots, Manchester United coming back at us very hard. Mata to Lingard outside the box. Can we close him down and set the counter? We do decently enough there, and Kent can get Oxlade-Chamberlain on our way. Can he deliver a telling through pass? Lacazette, what can he do? Arsenal striker Keita though, just bouncing off everyone. Eventually it's with Naby Keita, and I guess that's the end of that highlight. So speaking of Keita, he is our midfield pairing with Chan in the central, well, midfield, and Chan playing the ball-winning midfielder role. He's done well, overtaking Henderson, who himself has had an incredible season. But the way, you know, I think he was missing because of a tiny little knock, and since then he's just been incredible, Chan in place of Henderson, so it just doesn't make sense to take him off. Lukaku though, delivers into the box. Can we clear it? Bunch of players for Manchester United. Pogba to Lingard, didn't look offside apparently, and Pogba again, and this time he makes no mistake to punish us, and he's inside the box this time, and that's as difficult as ever to stop a shot like that. Definitely considering going to the 4-2-3-1 with 2 DMs, I think. Lukaku getting in behind us a bit too easily. Don't seem to be too keen on closing them down, I suppose. Robertson gets the delivery in and we can't deal with the threat. Klein not really doing too well. Straight to Pogba. Goes to Lingard quite unselfishly and he just goes back for him. Despite the amount of players we've got there, not doing too well. So I think we will make that change to a 4-2-3-1 with 2 DMs. But yeah, in terms of front four, as you know, Chamberlain, Lallana, Kent and Lacazette. Lacazette having a poor game so far. That's not good to see. We needed him to step up in an important game today. And we might have to consider putting on Origi later on in the second half if Lacazette doesn't step it up. But yeah, backup wingers, and I suppose they're not having a great influence. But Manchester United not having a best of games, only doing well. In terms of Pogba, everyone else has been underperforming. But having said that, they've had a great amount of shots on target, really causing us some trouble despite our tactical switch. And we're gonna have to be careful to not lose all 3 points here today. But having a single point isn't the way to go either. So I think we're gonna go with the I'm far from pleased team talk. Players don't seem too serious about this game, being outplayed no matter which tactic we use. And that's normally an indicator of poor mentality from your team. If you try and switch up the tactic numerous times in the match, you know, formation and whatnot, and your players are still underperforming, it's normally because they're not mentally switched on, and that seems to be the case for my players. We matched Manchester United's formation and they still outperformed us, and they might do it again here. Mata to Lingard, to Pogba once more, the danger man, near post, tries it. Lacazette is the one getting it cleared and he shouldn't be in that box. But maybe we should go back to the 4-2-3-1. We'll try and cause some serious damage of our own, since playing with a 4-2-3-1 with 2 DMs isn't making any difference. So I think we'll do just that. Go back to 4-2-3-1. Play Chamberlain in his more preferred winger role. And just play this game on attack. See if that helps. 4 shots. We started the game really well. It's finally gone back up and it looks like it's given us a bit of an edge. Kent with the delivery. Decent ball into the box. Wallace heads down. Chan is there. Can't really turn his man, and instead he's just going all the way back quite stupidly. But can he deliver into the box? Decent ball in. I guess it wasn't too great, but Lacazette wasn't alive to it anyways. And De Gea collects it quite easily for Manchester United, and you have to wonder, is this going to be their highlight again? Lukaku beaten to it by Wallace, but Pogba heads down to Lingard. Tried to be closed down by Trent, I suppose, but he finds Mkhitaryan quite easily. Suddenly Manchester United look dangerous again, but thankfully Wallace is there to clean that up. Chan on the ball. Finds Lallana well. England midfielder though taken out by Mata of all people. And players are really not up for this game by the looks of things. Wallace though gives it right back to Lingard quite easily, and he finds Mkhitaryan free of Robertson. Finds Lukaku in the middle of the box, and you're not going to doubt him to ever not finish that chance. That is much easier than you could ask for. But yeah, Robertson complaining about the offside, but you can't complain about a pass like this. That's so poor from Wallace. Not even close to anyone, neither Chamberlain nor Klein. I said Trent earlier, but it is Klein. And Mkhitaryan has all the time in the world to square that to Lukaku, and you really can't complain. Manchester United is only getting what they deserve out of this match after we've been horrible and their players have been 100% more fired up than us. We're growing into the game though, so let's see if some substitutions can help us. Need to make some attacking ones. And Lacazette is the first to go. A 6.2 rating is inexcusable. 60 minutes have been played. It's unlikely he's going to change in the last couple of moments of the game. Anyways, in terms of other substitutions, we could probably bring on Salah as well for Chamberlain. We've got Pablo on the bench as well if we want to take off Lallana. But he's done decently today, getting on the score sheet. So, can our substitutes make the difference today? We desperately need that. We'll have to change the Salah to is more comfortable as an inside forward, which suits our tactic anyway, so hopefully we see some nice little movement from him as well. But we haven't been a threat since the first 20 minutes of this match. And whatever Mourinho said to his to his players at half-time has worked. And Lingard's through here. He's going to probably find Mkhitaryan at the far post. Wallace clears it poorly actually, and Pogba's basically saved us there. That's pretty much it. Anyways, 70 minutes, no real threat yet, so I'll take off Lallana for Pablo. There's also Keita for Jorginho. I'm going to have a bit of faith in Keita here and see what he can do in the remaining 20. But yeah, these are the type of matches that make me reconsider our tactics. Obviously, Mourinho's and Manchester United are kind of an exception. You never know how big games are going to go. But I feel like we would be a bit more solid with that other tactic that I showed you earlier. And if I could, I would make that switch right now. And I think, to be honest, we can do that in just about every role other than advanced playmaker on the right role. Salah and Chamberlain are not advanced playmakers. Even though they have the attributes for it, you would expect them to not perform well in that role just because they are uncomfortable with it. But anyways, we're going to go into overload and take more risks and see if we can get a draw. If we concede another, that's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but we do have to try and go for it. Dzeko and Andreas Pereira are on for Manchester United though. They're not easing up at all and sticking to the same attacking 4-2-3-1 formation. Highlight here with 4 minutes to go. Are we going to score? Are they going to hit us on the counter? Keita back to Klein. To Salah, playing it a bit patiently, but Robertson's out of the box, and Kent can't finish that clear-cut chance. Apparently he's offside though, so if anything, that sums up our game. And it looks like Manchester United might end this match 3 points ahead. Well, not ahead of us, but they'll have 3 points to our 0, and that's as disappointing as ever. Salah does well to win it from Chan, but he just lobs it forward stupidly. Salah tries to head it down instead of taking a touch. And we couldn't have been further away from Manchester United mentally than today. Anyways, Kent on the ball. Decent try to Salah. He's free. And that should have been a bigger chance than it was there. The Egyptian was a bit too eager. Manchester United escaped with all 3 points. Match reads a little bit better than it seems. Manchester United capitalising on any type of possession they had despite not having too much. And the players have some serious things to consider. With Lacazette not... Is that creating chances or having a chance? Because he's had none. I suppose Origi hasn't done much better in his place. But anyways, told my players off at half-time, so I don't think I can really tell them off again. Apparently we weren't necessarily favourites, so maybe telling them off at half-time wasn't the best way to go. But I wasn't really happy with how we were performing. We just seemed to give Manchester United the game after 20 minutes. Scored and then we just settled. Which is as usual, as unusual as you'd think. I was going through the team report though, and there's some interesting things that I saw. I think we do have quite an low average age compared to some other teams in the division. So I want to quickly try and show you guys that, unless it's changed now, or I'm making things up, I don't know. Let's have a bit of comparison. I don't even think it's in comparison, is it? It won't be here, it's facts. Yeah, there you go. Alright, average age is 25 for ourselves, and the division Premier League division average is 27. Sorry. The good news is though that we have the most current under 21 internationals. We've got a decent amount of current internationals, domestic bias, player bias. We've got a decent amount too. Bunch of nationalities represented, and I think we read quite decently. Let's have a look at the overall though. We have some problem with crossing, which I guess would make sense. 9% though is not too good. 19th in the competition. A lot of our play is supposed to be coming, well, through our fullbacks at least. It's supposed to be based on crossing. It's supposed to be crossing from the byline. But mostly our front four though, they're inside forwards, you know, players who don't cross often. It's in their natural game, and so I'm not too worried about this weakness. The main issue is this goals against. An alarming 15 of the 37 assists conceded in the last 50 matches have come from inside the penalty area, which is obviously, you know, you'd expect that to happen when someone's in your penalty area. They're almost always going to score, but at the same time, it's bad percentage, but also the fact is, why are they getting in our penalty area? Heading though, we're also quite poor in heading. 19th in the league doesn't read too well. I thought we had good players. Lack of quality, depth in goal kind of makes sense because, you know, we've only got 2 goalkeepers. I think that's always going to be there, but at the same time, our backup carries isn't good enough, and hopefully the new player we have coming in will do better there. Jumping reach, not too good I guess, but that's not a huge concern. Goals against, 13 of the 37 assists come from through balls, and that kind of explains why we should change to that 4-2-3-1 asymmetric formation. But yeah, in terms of the anchorman role, the other little roles in this formation, we already have complete wing backs, already have ball playing defenders, central defenders, sweeper keepers. Anchorman, I'm pretty sure Chan and Henderson will both be very happy to switch to the anchorman role, and Kita can go to the box-to-box midfielder role. Attacking midfield, Lallana and Pablo will both be comfortable with it. Like I mentioned, comfortable as a trequartista. Inside forwards is the same, and it's the advanced playmaker role that Chamberlain, if I can just show you, he seems quite comfortable with. Actually more comfortable now I realise, but I think it's Salah who's the one who's not too great in that role. Trequartista, winger, rudimentor, advanced playmaker, and I guess that kind of explains it. Doesn't bring out the best out of him. Not too bad, but not the best either. Well, maybe we could give it a go and see how it is, but let's let the tactical familiarity build up first, because at the moment it's just about the opposite in everything that we've taught them, and that's why creative freedom, marking is completely low, closing down is a bit of an adjustment, position role duty is something that's quite high, so it's not too much changes I suppose, but I think we would definitely be doing better in this role. But anyways, I think that will be all for today's episode. So like I mentioned, in terms of when we'll be back, it should be with the Chelsea game. I don't feel like it's, you know, the Arsenal-Tottenham games are kind of far, so in terms of, you know, we've got a match in between sandwich, so I feel like maybe we should just show you the Chelsea game. Hopefully by then we'd be alright, and it should be a huge clash, but dropping 3 points here today is not good at all. We have to hope that Chelsea don't perform well against Arsenal. I think we can have a quick look at that. Yeah, mate, that's not happening. Sack your agent, thank you, and bye. That's pretty much what you have to do, by the way. Sometimes they complain about not wanting to sack their agent, and in that sense you can just tell them, I won't be offering you any conditions because your contract still hasn't run out. That type of team talk. I'm not sure what is word for word, but yeah. But anyways, I just want to have a quick look at the Arsenal-Chelsea result, so let's see what happens. 2 London sides, of course, facing off with each other, and you have to hope that Arsenal did us a favour there, because we have put ourselves in some trouble against Manchester United. A bunch of League 2, League 1 results, some Premier League ones. Are we going to see the Chelsea-Arsenal one here, or are we not? Oh wait, did that just disappear for a second? Am I seeing things? No, it hasn't been played yet. Alright, it's just simming a bunch of games that we don't really care about, I suppose. For a second I could have sworn I saw Chelsea and Arsenal though. Alright. Okay, not the game we were looking forward to. But yeah, I think we can possibly give that advanced playmaker role a go. I don't Salah is probably a lot less comfortable with it than Chamberlain is. But if that tactic helps us solidify ourselves a little bit more, then it would make sense to stick with that. But anyways, Arsenal did help us out in the end, so the gap remains the same, thankfully. But it would have been nice to it even, puts our game in even more perspective, because if we beat Manchester United, then we would have cut that gap, the points gap, by 3 more points. So that would have been nice. But anyways, I think that's all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then of course please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And of course leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, guys, thank you all very much for watching.